Well, welcome everybody. We are so grateful to have you joining us today. Just a couple housekeeping notes before we get started. If you would just mute your audio if you're not speaking, or there'll be a time for questions at the end, so you can unmute then or put it in the chat. But in the meantime, if you would just keep your microphone muted. And just again want to welcome you to our webinar, Blanket the World with Warmth. So I just want to take a moment and let a few of my colleagues introduce themselves who have worked on this webinar. We'll have a guest speaker with Church World Service and a volunteer speaker as well with us today. I will start with myself. I'm Rachel Ketzel. I'm a community engagement specialist with Church World Service. If you were on earlier, you already heard me say this, but I am based out of Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan, to be specific. So I will let Heather go ahead and introduce herself next.
I'm Heather Wilson, and you probably, if you do any kind of webinar or anything like this, I facilitate them, so I set them up and I run them. I'm also a community engagement specialist. I work with walks, and I am based in Michigan, and it's called Canadian Lakes.
All right, Jessica, would you go next?
Of course, yes. So I'm Jessica Christensen. I am also a community engagement specialist. So we're all here for the party. I am based in Northern Virginia, so the Arlington area.
Awesome. And David?
Hey everyone, David Costello here, Congregational Engagement Manager. I live in North Georgia, just outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
And we will go ahead and start off with our new blankets video for this year. So Heather, I will let you share that at this time. Looks like it might be taking a minute and thinking. We appreciate your patience.
Can you see it, Rachel, or no?
No, we can see your that you might have to share the actual video. Looks like you're sharing the document page right now. We can see the.
Okay, let me try again. Sorry.
No worries. Take two.
Yeah, sorry. Just a second.
It's okay. It's part of working with technology, right?
I cannot share the video right now because it will not let me drop the screen down to get it back up, Rachel. So
Okay.
Sorry, everybody.
That's okay. Maybe we'll wait a minute and let Heather figure that out, and we'll try and show it at the end again. So to start out, we have a poll for you all. If Heather, you want to put that up now at this time, and we'll give you a few minutes to answer. Give your best guess and what you think it is, and we'll share the answer with you at the end. Give a couple more seconds here in case you really want to make sure you get it right and need some time to think on it. And while you're answering, I'll just share, Church World Service does have our blankets program, which I think most of you are pretty familiar with. But if you are newer, we want to welcome you as well. The full annual report, I believe you'll get some more information on that later, but our report from last year can be found on our website that talks about the kits and blankets that we sent out in the past calendar year. But for now, I will share the correct answer was 32,785. Yes, looks like Tiffany got it right. Maybe some other folks, a good split there between those three answers. So, some good guesses from everybody. And he already introduced himself, but David Costello is going to speak now just a little bit about what exactly the Blankets program is.
Thanks, Rachel. Again, David, and so glad that you're here with us. Whether you're new to the Blankets program or you're a seasoned veteran, we really appreciate you being with us. And we just really hope that today you'll find something that will be helpful to you. We have a lot of great new resources, hopefully, and the video being one of them. Hopefully you'll get to see that. If not, I do see Andrew Gifford on the call, so maybe he can do a little reenactment for us because he's a big part of that video. But we'll see. But thank you again. We appreciate it. The Blankets are such an incredible opportunity to really meet people at their time of need. And if you're not familiar, of course, we have two different kinds of blankets. We've got the fleece blanket here, which is a nice kind of portable blanket that you see a lot of times with the work that we do in welcoming families, or it could be in other places where maybe certain shelter situations. It's a very versatile, and you'll find it. It was interesting. So where they pop up at times, our director of congregational campaigns was watching the evening news one evening, and he saw it at one of the border shelters, and so it gets used in a variety of different ways. And of course, too, here we've got the heavier kind of fleece blanket that you may be familiar with. A lot of times in times of disaster or homeless shelters or things of that nature, those are great. And when we think about blankets, we think about it providing warmth and comfort and things like that. But these blankets, a lot of times too, are a sort of lifeline. You'll find them too where people are taking just the very few earthly possessions that they have and bundling up into one of those blankets as well. So it really, really does make a difference. And the blanket program blesses folks in so many different ways. And we're just thankful for you, for your interest. Thank you for being here today. And we hope that we'll be able to share something here today that you will find helpful, and something that maybe will motivate your congregation or your group to go even further and hopefully be able to provide more blankets this year. And so thanks again, and I look forward to it as well, seeing what all we're going to be presenting today.
Thank you, David. Next up, we have Madison Reese, who has shared a little bit with us about herself. She is a CWS program coordinator, so she's going to share a little bit about CWS's emergency preparedness, response, and recovery when it comes to CWS blankets. So Madison, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Let me share my screen real quick. All right. Can we see the present? Oh, wait, no, there we go. Can you all see the slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, as Rachel just said, my name is Madison Reese, and I am the program coordinator for CWS's Emergency Preparedness, Response, and Recovery team. I've worked for CWS for the last 2.5 years and got my start in one of our local resettlement offices, where we actually received some blankets for our clients. I was doing direct client service, and then in the last 6 months, I transitioned over to this role. But just real quickly, a brief introduction of Emergency Preparedness, Response, and Recovery, or EPRR. EPRR is the newest iteration of CWS's previously known domestic disaster program that prepares for and responds to domestic U.S. emergencies. And I do want to highlight this program is just domestic. We do also have emergency in our name, but it's kind of better to think of disaster versus emergency. EPRR is committed to safeguarding vulnerable communities, particularly highlighting refugees, immigrants, and unaccompanied children within the disaster space. And we chose to highlight those communities because these are the populations that are currently being served by our local refugee resettlement offices and by many of our national programs. So we believe that we can do better work by building on the foundation that CWS's national programs and offices have already established, and that will allow us to have a much greater impact. And we also found that when it comes to the disaster space, that established trust is really important when you're trying to work with disaster survivors. It's really important when you're working with refugees and immigrants as well. So again, we decided that the best way to work with those communities was to work through and in close partnership with our local offices. But EPRR has a two-pronged approach that includes material aid and then also financial donations. Financial donations are obviously flexible and allow for in-time, unrestricted purchases for really specific needs of disaster survivors, and then can help boost the local economy that was just negatively impacted by a disaster. But of course, we also work very closely with material aid and the Kits and Blankets program. And currently, the Kits and Blankets program works really closely with EPRR. EPRR manages all of the disaster requests, which largely come from our partners within the disaster network. So we work closely with national and state VOADs, which are voluntary organizations active in disaster. There's a greater national VOAD, and then every US state has its own state VOAD, and we work with both. We work with emergency management organizations, local governments, and of course, local CWS offices to support community needs after disaster. And if possible, we like to do pre-positioning for disasters, depending on what inventory looks like of materials and blankets. But we offer a variety of kits and blankets to support these communities. Some of the ones that are really popular are hygiene kits, period packs, cleanup buckets, and then of course, our blankets during our cold weather season. And blankets are also really great post-disaster. So I have some pictures up to show you all just some examples of blankets and kits being used in a variety of communities. The first two pictures you see are from migrant farm workers in North Carolina. These are migrant farm workers who come up to North Carolina. In these pictures, they were helping with Christmas tree, cutting down Christmas trees to prep for the holiday season. And they are wrapped in the wool blankets that David showed earlier. The third picture are our emergency cleanup buckets. These are firefighters this summer after Hurricane Idalia prepping to hand out emergency cleanup buckets in the community. And then the last picture on the far right is one of my favorite pictures that I think I've ever received. Unfortunately, you can't see a blanket in there, but we were able to support a nursing home with kits and blankets, and we got really wonderful feedback that the blankets were really impactful and really comforting for the residents. They were required to evacuate because of Hurricane Idalia, and it was somewhat traumatic for some of the residents, but we were told that our fleece blankets were really comforting to them while they were moving and during that transition time. And then I have a couple more photos to show. The photo on the right is a CWS staff member in our Tampa office. This is at an event that the Tampa office held where they were able to pass out, obviously you can see our yellow fleece blankets, and then we also supported them with some additional kits as well. And they were able to hand those out to clients they served into the local community there in Tampa. And then the last photo is another really great photo we received from an organization in North Little Rock, Arkansas. This organization does outreach with the homeless population in that community. And this is a photo, you can see the yellow fleece blankets in that. We also supported them with hygiene kits. And this is a photo where you can see them praying together, which was also a really special photo to receive. So obviously, the kits and blankets go to many different partners, many different communities. We really love to support refugee and immigrant communities and organizations working with those communities. Obviously, our local CWS offices we're able to support. We like to uplift our crop communities and obviously our border shelters as well. We work really closely with the CWS border team. They vet and make sure that all of the blankets and all of the support going down to the border is being used there and is being used properly. And we did quite a bit of border support in 2023 and probably anticipate that we'll do a bit more in 2024. And then, of course, as EPRR, we support with kits and blankets before and after disaster. And then real briefly, just to give you all an idea of what cost and distribution looks like. So CWS covers the cost of shipping for all of our kits and blankets. In some cases, if an organization is located close to a warehouse, they'll go pick up their order. That is pretty rare, but of course it's great because it helps to offset cost. But in 2023, CWS fulfilled about 93 kits and or blanket orders. And I say and/or because a lot of people order kits and blankets at the same time. But those orders went to CWS offices, affiliates, border shelters, and of course, many outside organizations. And our blankets are purchased through the support of our blanket fund. And of course, our kits are donated through many different communities and congregations and organizations. But in 2023, for purchasing, warehousing, and freight of blankets, it was approximately $103,000. And then for warehousing and freight of kits, it was approximately $30,000. So obviously kits is going to be much lower because, as I said before, those are donated. But I will just leave or finish on one last note, something I always love to share when I do presentations, because I think that CWS does a really fabulous job and really takes this to heart. And I have seen this in the resettlement offices. I, of course, see it in EPRR, and I really see it in the Kits and Blankets program. And that is to do in partnership what none of us could hope to do as well alone. And that's what the blankets allow us to do, is they allow us to extend our reach tremendously. Obviously in our national program work, and also I can speak for EPRR and our disaster work. We aren't always able to actively respond to disasters all over the United States and be everywhere. But with our kits and blankets, we can be a lot more places than we would be without them. And I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Madison. That was a lot of information, a lot of wonderful information. And I think you did a really great job of touching on not only the blankets program, but some of the kids program as well. And just a little more information and familiarizing with how these are used and how important these are to those receiving those blankets, regardless of where they're at and what situation they're in, the comfort and the warmth that those blankets can bring, and can really make a life-changing impact. So thank you for sharing that with us today. Next, I would like to introduce Matt Stevens. He is the CWS Director of Congregational Giving. So he's going to talk a little bit about our blankets depots and a little bit more about kits and blankets as well. So Matt, I will let you take it away.
Great. Thank you, Rachel. I see a lot of familiar faces on this call, including Sandy Stout, who is the featured image on our CWS blanket page right now, if you've not checked that out on our website. So make sure you check that out. And she's also on the cover of our new leaders guide as well, which we'll be talking about soon. So thank you. Thank you all for attending this session. And CWS Blankets is such an important part of our work. And I do have the opportunity to create the materials that you see about CWS Blankets, whether that's on the website or on social media, or the printed materials that we provide, and the stories and the impact they have. And I do have a very quick story I'd like to share. It was a couple Augusts ago. I was working in Miami, Florida, in the heat of August. I mean, it was a hot, humid day. And I was on vacation, but I was actually working on CWS Blankets that day. And it was one of those days and nothing was going right? Like everything was going the opposite of what you wanted to happen. And it was the entire day spent on blankets. So around 6:30 that night, I was kind of fed up with the blanket program at that time. And so I decided, I grabbed my headphones, I was going to go out and take a walk. And so I'm walking close to downtown Miami and just kind of listening to my tunes. And I get up to the corner and I see this man that's obviously carrying his belongings with him on this roller behind him. And I wasn't paying much attention. And the closer I got, I realized that on the back of his cart was a gray CWS blanket because the logo was facing me. And then I thought, okay, God, I get it. I get why I'm doing what I'm doing, because even in the hot, humid, I mean, I was sweating in the humidity of South Florida on an August day, there was a man who needed a CWS blanket to have a safe place to lay his head. And that for me is a good reminder of why we do what we do around the CWS program. So this year we have a couple new things. I do want to tell you, for every order, of course, all of our promotional materials you order for your congregation or group, they're all free. And so we love to be able to share these materials with you. Every order will automatically receive a new CWS blanket leaders folder, and it's stuffed with some amazing things that will help you with your CWS blanket offering. We have a nice little letter from me. We have in here, we have our new shipping poster that Rachel and Madison were both talking about. We have a new larger poster that will look great on your bulletin insert. And then it even has a QR code that people can scan on their phone that takes them right to the full report online, and where they can get all the details about how we share our kits and blankets. If you're not familiar, it also includes automatically the blanket leaders guide. In the past, this has been updated for this year. In the past, you had to order your own, but we just are including that in the blanket leaders. It's got some has some fun skits, some creative ideas that work. It has a children's craft in there, and it also gets you to some of the resources that we have online available. If your church does not use the bulletin insert, I would suggest that you use it this year. We love the new format. We're in our second year of the new format. And what I like about it is we have kind of changed it, where on the inside, we have your normal story and a way for people to donate right from their phone. There's actually a congregational study out right now that says 52% of all millennials that go to church, if they cannot donate on their phone, they won't donate. So we want to make sure that people have the opportunity. So literally they just scan this QR code wherever it's at. I'm looking at this backwards. Scan the QR code and it takes you right to a safe place to donate from your phone to CWS Blankets. And then this year also we have some really great price points, just because we think that people like to know that a blanket costs $10, but for $30 you can provide 3 blankets. And so some really great bundles. So if you haven't used the bulletin inserts in the past, I would really suggest that you use these. I think they're a great addition. For every season, we also have the helpful hints. So right now we're in our Valentine's Day season, which is one of our biggest days. And it just has some helpful hints, how to make your blanket Sunday a little bit more fun. And also some ways you can raise a little bit more money throughout that as well. Let's see, what else do I want to go over? This year, we added a new piece. It's called Host a CWS Blanket Sunday. It's simple as 1, 2, 3. And so what this does, this just kind of abbreviates the simple steps of how to host a Blanket Sunday. On the back, there's a great story of how these blankets are used here with just regular families that just need blankets. It's great. But this piece hopefully will remind everyone, and this is the big takeaway for my finance team, to use your green envelope. So inside of your folder, there's a green envelope to return your checks, right? And if you lose this by chance, that's okay. Just make sure you write CWS Blankets in the memo line when you turn the money in. In terms of people who donate online on their mobile device, you can still get credit for all their donations, because we ask them to list their church name and their city and the state. And so if you want to contact me or contact David or contact your CES, we can run a report to let you know anyone at your church who donated online. And that's really easy for us to do, right? Just to kind of track that for you. But that's kind of our new materials. I do want to encourage to kind of talk something about what Madison was talking about too, is we do want all of our dedicated kit volunteers, blanket volunteers, to know that if they are aware of an agency or a food pantry or a shelter or an after-school program in your community, or maybe even your church works with folks, your neighbors in need, and you would like to request CWS blankets and kits, we do have on our blanket website. It's super easy. It's just right at the top. I'll drop the form in the chat here. I think I'll do that. It's super easy to just request blankets and kits for your own community, and the first person, and you can see everything that we have available. And the first person you contact is Madison. You just met Madison, and just let her know that you're a blanket leader with your group, and she'll want to know that as well. And then the last thing, I just want to do a quick shout out. I know we've been doing a little bit of talking about kits as well. Inside of your blanket leader folder, we've also for the first time included the CWS kit brochure. I know so many of you are already involved with the kit program, and thank you very much. Like Madison said, our kits are fully donated by volunteers, right? We don't go out and buy kits. And including this year, we have a new, what we call CWS Kits Party Pack, and we'll talk about that in the brochure as well. And our CWS Kits Party Pack is an opportunity for your group to do hygiene kits or period packs. You just order them online. Everything you need is sent right to you, including the shipping label to ship the kits back to CWS. So it's a great deal. We're super excited to roll it out this year. You'll get you'll have a kit brochure in your booklet. So thank you so much for your dedication. You really are an inspiration to all of us, because it's because of your generosity that Madison and her team can help distribute these items where they really need to go. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. Matt talked about some of the packet that you will get as a blanket leader. And I did put a couple links in the chat to where you can also find some of that on the webpage. But right now, Jessica is actually going to walk us through that website and give us a tour of that and just talk a little bit more about those online resources, but know that a lot of that is available online as well. Take it away, Jessica.
All right, sounds good. I'm just sharing my screen. So thank you so much, Matt, for that. Oh, that's not the screen I wanted to share. Usually it lets me pop up and choose what screen, but nope, there we go. Here we are. Okay, so this is our just blankets website. So if you just go to cwsblankets.org, which is fairly easy to remember. So, but if you can't remember it, usually Google will send you in the right direction. So there are a lot of different things on here. You can see the new video we are probably going to watch today is right there. So if we can't get it working, you can go there, you can watch it. But yeah, we have a lot of new resources, new materials down here at the bottom. You can order promotional materials, download resources, or if you have any specific questions, you can contact CWS. You're always welcome. If you know your local person's name, you're welcome to reach out to any one of us. If you don't know that person's name or how to get a hold of them, this is a great place to start, and they can either answer you or direct you to the person who knows. So up here at the top in this black bar is the place you will want to look. If you want to find anything, you can find it all up here. So right here, you can order promotional materials. You can see that they're all new pictures. I was excited about that. We've moved away from the COVID and masks, so you have some new pictures, some new fun things to look at. You can get bulletin inserts, cards, offering envelopes, posters, all of these things. If you would like some more information on perhaps other kits or ways to get involved, you can click that box too and get some more information. But besides, if you decide last minute, I'd like to do a blankets Sunday or something, and it's last minute and you don't have enough time to ship anything, or perhaps you just would rather have something to download anyway, you can come and just download things directly here. We have a lot of different great materials, such as our bulletin insert. You can get that shipping report we were talking about earlier. There's a fun children's craft on here. You even have blessings, helpful hints. Although the ones over here do say for Valentine's Day, you can honestly adapt them for any holiday or any event that you're doing. A lot of these things are good ideas, but feel free to adapt and go with them as you will. We know each congregation has great ideas, a lot of things that you want to do. So these are here just to help. We have our stories and reports. So I know a lot of those things were in those leaders guide, but you can also come and find them here in case you're like me and happen to misplace things. Sometimes we all have those moments where suddenly we need them and we don't know what special place we put them in. You can come and find them all right here. So we have the full report. We have different ideas on finding comfort in the wake of a hurricane, or you can see different updates as things go along. We have a whole slew of videos, so you can find that new video that we have along with any previous video. If you have a video that you have fallen in love with from years past, don't worry, we still have it. It's right here. So you can also choose to go virtual with your offering, and you will just go ahead, fill in some information, and they will go ahead and get that set up for you there. And as Matt was explaining earlier, you can request blankets from here. So you can, although it says request blankets, as he said, you often, and as Madison was saying, they often request 2 things at once, especially when disaster strikes. You might need blankets and a hygiene kit or a welcome backpack. So you can request all of these things. So if your community gets hit by disaster, I think one of my favorite parts about the blankets are that they're water resistant. So we saw that the blankets kind of got used as coats, but they can be used as a barrier when if your house is flooding or things, or you're displaced, it's lovely that you can use them as a barrier to the elements. You can use them even when it's raining outside to try and, protect things. You never know what things are going to be like when it's a disaster. So they're just very versatile that way with our wool blankets and our fleece blankets. Just very practical in so many circumstances. So if you're in need or you know of a group that's in need of any of these things, you can just come right on and request them. You can also, there's this yellow button in this upper right-hand corner, and you can donate directly from the website. So I think that's pretty it. It's a fairly easy to navigate website, but as I said, feel free to reach out to any of us if you're in need of something else or have lost something on the website, can't find something you need. We're happy to help. So, yeah.
Thank you, Jessica. And one thing too, while we're talking about the website is, we do promote Valentine's Day offerings and Mother's Day offerings, but we also encourage you to host a blanket offering at any time of the year. So a lot of these resources can be specific to a time of year. And the website is updated. It'll be updated for Mother's Day and later on in the year as well, I believe. But a lot of these resources can be adapted to use at any time of year. So don't let that shy you away from when to host your offering. So next, our last speaker here is Miss Sandy Stout. And as Matt mentioned, she is a volunteer of ours at host a blanket offering and works with Church World Service. And her church is First Christian Church in Mansfield, Ohio. So Sandy, we'd love for you to just kind of share a little bit about how you do your blanket offering, and maybe start with kind of the planning and just kind of how you go about your offering.
You almost already covered everything. Just about. So we plan ours around Mother's Day. We do the blankets for Mother's Day offering, and for Father's Day we do the tools and seeds for CWS. But we've done skits in the past when we had young youth with us, and we've showed the various ways that blankets can be used. They can be used not only for warmth, but for protection. They can use it as a shelter, as for protection. We've even showed where they can load all their pots and pans in it and carry them, you know. So that's pretty much what we do at First Christian. And we do use the inserts that we get with our kits. So I don't know what else I can say because you already said just about everything that I had planned to say.
That's all right. And I think it's great just to hear those little tidbits of, you know, how I think each church does it a little bit differently. And maybe, you know, you all might order materials, or maybe like Jessica mentioned, some of you pull them from the online website, but to know like how you present that to your congregation was really great for you to share that with us. And just knowing that, you know, the skit, or maybe it's sharing the church world service video, or whatever it is, that you can really personalize it to your congregation and what works well.
And I love something that Sandy said too, is about the skit was actually last spring, we had a dedicated blanket leader. They might be on this call, I forget who it was, emailed us about a skit we used to have like around 2002 in a booklet. And I was like, what are they talking about? I went back and I found it, and it was so good. It was an amazing skit that we updated it just a little bit because it needed a little bit of tweaking. And that's the skit in this year's leader's guide. And so I was so thankful that a blanket leader took the time to remind us of something that was a great resource. So I think that you'll really like the skit this year in the book. It's super easy just to get a couple people, a youth or so at your church, or a couple of other friends to help you with the skit. It's really impactful.
Definitely. And Sandy, I'll ask you one question. I'll kind of put you on the spot a little bit here, so it's okay if you need a minute to think. But what is the reason that you choose to host a CWS blanket offering?
Just because we care. The church cares a lot about, we do a lot for church world service. We do the hygiene kits. 1 year Mansfield had a flood, and we did the emergency buckets. And we had emergency buckets brought to us that we could give out to the people in Mansfield. Last year we set a goal for 75 hygiene kits, and we made 109. And we're a depot for other areas, other local areas to bring to us. And then the truck came, and we finished loading hygiene kits and school kits and period packs. We even had a few of the emergency cleanup buckets, but it's just because we care and we know there's a need out there.
Thank you, Sandy. I think that's really something that I love about our volunteers and the supporters of Church World Service is, and really the staff too, that I've come across, is we do this because we really care about the people that are served through Church World Service and through, it might be in your local community or the global community, but Church World Service really finds a way to partner with agencies that we work with, or our offices that we have around the country, to really serve the communities and our neighbors that are in need. So thank you, Sandy, for sharing today. At this time, we would love to open it up for questions. If you want to go ahead and put those in the chat. And as kind of giving some time to think about that, or time for people to type, you've probably noticed that we've not only talked about the CWS blankets, but we've also talked about the CWS kits. And that's because those programs really are so closely intertwined. And so if that's something that you're not involved in yet and would like more information about, just let us know. You can respond. You can go to that contact us that Jessica showed you on the webpage. Feel free to reach out to Madison directly. She, like Matt said, she's kind of the person that you go to if you're requesting kits, but really the website, the CWSBlankets.org and then also CWSKits.org are two separate websites. So you can find some more information out there. I do see one question so far in the chat. Remind us how to get a leader's guide. Matt, I will let you take that away.
Yeah, so this year we changed it with our new CWS blanket folder, and it's automatically going to have a leader's guide inside of this. But if you want to look at it quick and easy on the website that Jessica showed you, if you go to I want to make sure I'm looking at the right page. If you go to the resources and downloads, if you scroll to the bottom, you can just flip through the leader's guide. It's just an e-magazine in that format, but if you want to see it right now, that's the best place to find it. If not, when you order your materials, it will automatically be in here. Or if you decide, I'm not going to order my materials yet, but I still want a leader's guide, just send us an email and we'll be happy to get you one.
Thank you, Matt. I see I exited out of my chat. I'll have to reopen it. Any other questions for any of us staff or Madison or Sandy? Or really, if anybody has any best tips of things that they've seen have been really well received by their congregation and you want to share that, feel free to also share that information. And maybe while some more questions are coming in, Heather, were you able to get that video pulled up?
Try.
Okay.
I can try, but I will be sending out the recording to this, and I will include as many of the links as I can see in the chat that you've been sharing. And I will also put the YouTube for that video so you guys have it. I will try one more time.
Thank you. Looks promising.
Can you see it now, Rachel? But you can't.
We can see your like all your files
My
under
files.
the
Okay.
downloads folder. Yes.
Okay. Nope. That's not the
Okay.
right thing. I guess I'm striking out on everything I want to do for you guys.
That's okay.
Sorry.
The joys of technology. It's a
Sorry.
beautiful thing. It allows all of us to gather here from all the different places that we are, but also
Well,
can not always work how we want it to.
I will
so.
put it in the email, and please do click on it because, you know, Andrew's just cute as a bug's ear and he does a great job. And I think there might be Belinda in there too. And she's also cute as a bug's ear and does a great job. So play it tomorrow
Yes,
when you
definitely.
get it.
And it's really a great thing too to share with your congregation. If you do, I know a lot of churches shifted towards doing a virtual bulletin insert or newsletter that they send out via email. That video can be shared there, or if you have a screen that your church uses to present announcements or anything that way, you can share it up there for the whole congregation. So it's really can be used in a variety of different ways. So it's a great resource. Another question here, who do we email to request those guides without ordering? I would say go ahead and send an email to the email that's on the webpage, which I will put in the chat here for you. There's that. Well, looks like we're kind of slowing down on questions. So just want to thank you all for taking some time out of this Thursday, and hopefully, depending on where you're at, the weather's not too terrible and you're able to continue to stay safe and warm, just like the safety and warmth that you bring through the support of the Church World Service Blankets program. So thank you all for your time, and thank you for your incredible support and willingness to be here. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to email that Blankets email, or if you know who your Church World Service representative is, you can email them. But we're just really grateful for you and for the ways that you show compassion and support to those most in need.